Before Mortal Kombat was a global franchise, before it was even an arcade cabinet, it was just an idea. One dream built around a single man, Jean-Claude Van Damme. The developers at Midway weren't just making a fighting game, they were imagining a digital superstar. They saw Van Damme's roundhouse kicks, his split punches, and his Hollywood swagger, and thought, this guy could be the ultimate fighter. The early pitch was literally Van Damme, the game. And for a while, it looked like it was going to happen. Meetings were held, talks got serious, contracts were on the table, but then the deal collapsed. Hollywood politics and scheduling slammed the door shut, and the dream evaporated. Except, it didn't really die. Out of the ashes, the developers created Johnny Cage, a parody of Van Damme himself. Cage was arrogant, egotistical, a martial arts movie star who signed autographs after beating people senseless. His famous split punch lifted straight out of Van Damme's filmography. He was both a tribute and an inside joke. The star who said no transformed into a character who could never say no to a fight. But the irony didn't end there. Years later, when the studio was casting the Mortal Kombat movie, Van Damme was once again offered the role, this time to play Johnny Cage, the character based directly on him. And once again, he turned it down. Why? Because he'd already signed on to headline Street Fighter. The result? The role built for him slipped through his fingers twice. Johnny Cage went on to become one of the franchise's most iconic fighters, but without the man who inspired him. Van Damme missed a chance to be immortalized, and Mortal Kombat carried on without him.
Casting Mortal Kombat wasn't just about picking actors, it was survival, a Hollywood tournament before the cameras ever rolled. Names floated around that sound almost unbelievable today. Whispers claimed Johnny Depp was in the mix for Johnny Cage. Even Tom Cruise's name was tossed into conversations before the role finally landed with Lyndon Ashby, a relative unknown who swaggered into the part with just the right mix of arrogance and charm. For the role of Raiden, the studio aimed high. Their dream choice? Sean Connery. Fresh off years of Bond glory, Connery carried the gravitas of a thunder god. But he declined, unwilling to vanish into Thailand jungles for months on a fantasy shoot. The mantle instead fell to Christopher Lambert, whose mischievous grin and strange charisma turned Raiden into something unforgettable, cementing his link to not one, but two cult franchises, Highlander and Mortal Kombat. But not every casting story ended with triumph. Stuntman and actor Steve James was originally cast as Jax, but he passed away before filming could begin, forcing a painful recast with Gregory McKinney. Fans also speculated that Brandon Lee, fresh off The Crow, could have embodied Liu Kang. Fate, however, handed the role to Robin Shou, who not only carried the film, but carved Liu Kang into his legacy. And even behind the scenes, legends slipped in. Mortal Kombat's co-creator Ed Boon voiced Scorpion's iconic "Get Over Here," a line that became immortal. Meanwhile, veteran voice actor Frank Welker snarled through the growls of both Reptile and Shao Kahn, giving life to villains that defined the soundscape of the film. In the end, casting Mortal Kombat wasn't just a process. It was a battle royale of big names, near misses, and unexpected legends stepping up. The final lineup may not have been what the studio first imagined, but it carried the perfect chaos that matched the franchise itself. Sometimes, destiny doesn't just cast you, it consumes you. Cary-Hiroyuki Tagawa didn't just play Shang Tsung, he became him. When Tagawa auditioned, the filmmakers expected a standard martial arts villain performance. Instead, he delivered a Shakespearean villain, dripping with menace and charisma. His chilling delivery of "Your soul is mine" wasn't in the script the way he performed it. He crafted the line, infused it with energy, and turned it into the franchise's most iconic catchphrase. So powerful was his performance that decades later, when Mortal Kombat was rebooted in video game form, the developers didn't even try to find someone new. They brought Tagawa back to reprise the role, immortalizing him digitally as Shang Tsung once again. Few actors
ever fused with a character this completely. But for Tagawa, it was fate. Making Mortal Kombat wasn't just stunts and special effects. It was danger. Real danger. The film shot on location in Thailand with brutal humidity, unstable terrain, and stunts that often ignored safety nets. During the climactic fight scenes, actors pushed their bodies to the breaking point. Robin Shou, who played Liu Kang, performed most of his own stunts, shattering ribs, tearing muscles, and even suffering concussions mid-scene. Even Christopher Lambert, the veteran Highlander, risked it all. Despite his star status, he refused a stunt double for Raiden shots, insisting on authenticity. It was reckless, but it gave Raiden scenes an edge of raw reality. Not everyone walked away unscathed. Crew members collapsed from heat exhaustion. Some sets became so dangerous they had to shut down filming temporarily. Mortal Kombat wasn't just a movie, it was a battlefield. When people think Mortal Kombat, they don't just picture the fights, they hear it. The film's soundtrack, led by the Immortals' techno anthem Techno Syndrome, the one screaming Mortal Kombat, became a global phenomenon. At the time, critics sneered at it, calling it cheap noise. But fans didn't care. It went platinum, blasting from clubs, gyms, and underground raves. The soundtrack reshaped movie marketing, proving music could carry a film's identity across the world. It wasn't just background noise, it was a war cry. And decades later, that opening yell still sends chills down the spine of anyone who grew up with the game. By the mid-90s, video game movies were a joke. Super Mario Bros. Had flopped, Double Dragon was forgotten before it even hit theaters. Hollywood expected Mortal Kombat to fail the same way. But it didn't. Against all odds, the movie made over $120 million worldwide, becoming the highest-grossing video game adaptation of its time. Fans lined up, arcades buzzed with energy. For a moment, it felt like Mortal Kombat wasn't just a game, it was a cultural revolution. The success proved video game movies could work, but it also cursed everything that came after. Sequels, reboots, spin-offs, they tried, but none ever captured that same lightning. The 1995 film remains the rare outlier that broke the curse. Few fans realized the legends lurking in the shadows of Mortal Kombat's production. The fight choreography was overseen by legendary martial artist Pat E. Johnson, the same man who trained Ralph Macchio in The Karate Kid. His fingerprints gave the fights structure and authenticity. Even more shocking, some of the film's extras and stunt doubles would later go on to star in blockbuster franchises like The Matrix and John Wick. Mortal Kombat wasn't just a film. It was the proving ground for Hollywood's next generation of fighters. In the end, Mortal Kombat wasn't just another 90s martial arts flick. It was a phenomenon. It fused arcade chaos, campy performances, dangerous stunts, and a soundtrack that refused to die. It also carried irony at its core. Van Damme walking away only to be mocked by his digital shadow. Sean Connery declining godhood. Brandon Lee lost to tragedy. Cary-Hiroyuki Tagawa becoming eternal. Nearly 3 decades later, Mortal Kombat is still alive, still screaming, still fighting, still pulling in new generations. The film may not have been perfect, but it achieved something no one thought possible. It made a video game into legend. And like Shang Tsung's warning, its soul remains ours forever.